Benvenuto. Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. I had some slightly over-ripened bananas, so today we're going to make banana bread. I have accumulated a lot of different banana bread recipes. This by far is my favorite one. So what we're going to need for today's recipe is we need a 9-inch by 5-inch loaf pan. We'll finish preparing that in a moment. Of course, the star ingredient is very ripe bananas. So we're going to need three medium-sized bananas. If your banana is a little bit larger, it just might mean that you're going to have to keep a closer eye on it and baking it and let it bake for a few minutes longer than if they're much bigger than kind of medium-sized bananas. We need some all-purpose flour. We need 1 stick or 8 tablespoons of melted, unsalted butter. So, of course, you don't want this to be piping hot after you melt it. So melt it, let it cool down slightly, room temperature, maybe a little bit above, because we're going to add eggs to that. We don't want the eggs to cook. Speaking of eggs, we need 2 large eggs. We're going to need half a cup of light brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, 2 teaspoons of good vanilla. We need some baking soda and some table salt or fine salt. And I think what makes this recipe a little bit different is I'm going to use sour cream in it. I haven't seen a lot of different recipes with sour cream, but it just kind of adds an extra moistness and just kind of pulls it all together. I'm also going to add 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. You can omit that. You can add some nuts if you want to it, but I'm going to add the chocolate chips tonight. And I think that's it. Let's get baking. Okay, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350. So I've got mine heating up. Then you want to prepare your pan. So done this many times. Just take your butter. I always take just a little square of butter, slather it around the pan in there. Make sure you get the corners and a little bit up the sides. Or in the corners, I should say. You want to make sure you get those. Oops. All right. And then you want to take a little bit of flour. Get it in there. And bang it all around. Pretty good. Make sure you get some on the sides. Make sure you get some on the counter, because if you don't have flour on the counter, you're not really baking. And then give it a good bang, get off all the excess. And our pan is done. And we can set that aside for now. Then, of course, the next most important thing is to get your bananas mashed. So as you can see, I've just peeled the bananas and they mash up really easy when they're this ripe. So you really want the consistency of baby food. You get it mashed up as much as you can. Their bananas are going to kind of dissipate anyway when it's baked. So there's 1 or 2 little chunks. I wouldn't fret about it. There you go. All right, so then the next thing we got to do is we got to get our melted butter in our mixing bowl. Remember, that's unsalted butter. And put that in there. Then we need our brown sugar, our light brown sugar. Get it in your bowl, and then you're going to put that on your mixer or mix it by hand. And you kind of want to you need to plug it in. It doesn't work without electricity. All right, and then on slow, you're going to let it go until the butter and the brown sugar are combined. And take a minute or 2. All right, you can also add your vanilla. See, that's coming together nicely. You can turn it up a bit. Not necessarily creaming it, you're just getting the sugar incorporated into the butter. Scrape down the side a little bit. All right, that looks good. Nice and incorporated. And then you want to add your eggs 1 at a time if you can. Let that get incorporated. And egg number 2. All right, while that's getting incorporated, you want to take your 1.5 cups of flour. We got our baking soda and our salt in here. Throw it in. Give it a little mix, try to get it incorporated. That's good. All right, our eggs and sugar are nicely combined. And then we got 1/2 cup of white sugar. And add that in there and get that combined. Scrape down the bowl. Give that one more little turn. All right, we're also going to need a 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is a 8-ounce or a cup of sour cream, so all right, we don't need that quite yet, but so then we're going to start to combine our flour in, and you can do it a little bit at a time. Of course, if you're using a hand mixer or a stand mixer, start it out slow. Yeah, a little bit more. I don't know if I've told you the story of this mixer, but I had always wanted a stand mixer, and I just didn't want to spend the money on one because they are rather expensive. But so for our first Christmas, that was on my Wade and my first Christmas together. That was on my Christmas list, and of course he bought me the stand mixer. That was close to 30 years ago, and it's still going. And I use it quite frequently. And we'll give it a scrape down. And we'll add the rest of our flour. You always want to remember when you're putting flour in wet ingredients in, you want the flour to be absorbed into the wet ingredients or vice versa. So you want to, you can see that's a nice creamy batter. It looks a little thick now, but it is going to, of course, we've still got the sour cream and bananas to add to it. So just give it a, let's get that off there. And give it one more little quick mix. And let it go for a minute. All right, that looks just about how you want it to look. Look at that, doesn't that look delicious? You could almost, it reminds me of coffee ice cream at this point, but I could just eat the batter. All right, and then you can put your bananas in all at once. And get that combined. I'd say that's probably on about a medium. On this type of mixer, it doesn't really give you high, medium, low. But the nice thing, one of the things I love about this mixer is you have the infinite speed settings. You know, you can even just go up half a setting by moving it just a little bit. And you want to let it mix for a good 30 seconds to a minute. That looks good. Then we're going to throw our sour cream in. Of course, I've mentioned this before if you've watched us cook. I do have a glass bowl for this. This is the metal one, but of course, never tap your spoon on the side of a glass bowl like that, or else you're going to break your bowl. Get that combined. You could also use plain yogurt if you prefer yogurt opposed to sour cream. I am using full fat sour cream, whole milk sour cream. I've never done it with the light one, but if you want to try that, save a few calories. Heat it up a little bit. You can see how much the batter has loosened up. It's a bit fluffy now with all the eggs and the sour cream. Okay, and I guess, I don't know how, if this is something that really works, but they say if you're going to put something in a bread or a cake like this, if you, oops, get that in there. If you dust whatever you're putting in, a little bit of flour, it will help them not sink. All right, so I'm gonna put my chocolate chips in last, but I'm gonna do that by hand. When I was little, my mother always let me lick the batter, but now, of course, they say that because there's raw eggs in there, you shouldn't do that, so I don't do it anymore, and I really miss it, though. All right, so we got our 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, dusted in a little bit of flour. I guess it probably does work. I guess it helps as you mix them in. It maybe sticks to the batter a little bit. All right, and then we'll scrape down the bottom and the sides, get the chocolate chips mixed in. You could do a little bit more chocolate chips if you want. I find that a 1/4 cup is the way I like it, or the way we like it, because it doesn't overpower the bananas with the chocolate flavor. And I happen to like milk chocolate chips, so you can use semi-sweet if that's your preference. All right, and we got our prepared pan. We get the batter in. Want to get it all in there. We don't want to waste any of that delicious batter. And level it out. And this is going to go into a preheated 350-degree oven for about an hour. We'll check on it. It usually takes about an hour in the 9-inch pan. So, all right, let's get it in the oven. So, of course, on the middle rack, in the middle of the oven. And another, just one of my crazy kind of perks. Got to remember, you've opened the door, so you've let some of the heat out. So before I start timing it, I let the oven heat back up a little bit. So maybe 30 seconds, a minute or so. And that is our banana bread recipe. Hopefully it comes out as good as the batter did. Okay, Google, set the timer for 55 minutes.
55 minutes, and that's starting now.
And I know I said 60 minutes, which it is probably going to take 60 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, but I want to take it out and I'll give it a quick test at 55 minutes. All right, we'll see you in about an hour. Okay, we're at the 55 minute. Let's just take it out, give it a quick test. Yeah, I definitely think it needs the other 5 minutes. So let's put it back in and we'll let it go for another 5 minutes. Okay, Google, stop. All right, we're at the 60-minute mark. And that looks done to me. It's hard to tell on this particular bread because it's such a moist bread, but see, it came out nice and smooth, no chunks on it. All right, so that needs to cool for at least a good 5 minutes before you turn it on in the rack. See you in a little while. All right, ready to taste it. I already have tasted it, so I couldn't wait.
Nice and moist. Delicious.
Really banana-y, and got the little chocolate chips in there. I think it is the best banana bread recipe. Delicious.
It is.
thank you so much
Good.
for spending some time with us. We enjoyed making this video. We hope you did as well. And we hope to see you again. Don't forget, if you like it, hit like, subscribe please. But even more importantly, make it. I think you'll be very happy. Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.